On today's episode of Scientific Healing, you're going to hear who are you and what do you do?
Allison Ferguson, I'm an entrepreneur. I have two companies I'm building. One is a financial services business, and the other one is a fitness company.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Scientific Healing Radio, and I'm your host, Dr. Anastasia Chopelas. I know the power of vibrational healing by combining physics and ancient healing arts to create my own system that has produced medical miracles for thousands of people. To discover how you can create these for yourself or your clients while building a business that can sustain you well, go to scientifichealer.com/energize me. And tell me a little bit about your background.
My background is varied. It starts from being a pre-med student at UCI, goes into having a master's in psychology, being a complete science geek and reading books on physics for fun, and rolling into finance, group benefits, executive benefits, taxes, and so on. So full financial planning, retirement planning, and everything. So it all kind and it dovetails together now in my world and what I'm able to do for companies from a financial standpoint as well as a health standpoint.
Awesome. So we met about, I'd say, 3-4 years ago,
Yeah,
somewhere like that.
2014, I think it was,
Mhm.
maybe the beginning of 2015. Yeah, 3.5 years ago.
Oh, when I started looking into your stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, you would be an ideal candidate to be on my show, because I like to show the whole spectrum of things. I have really practical, real doctors, with MDs come on, all the way to healers, but I really like practical solutions to things because, like you were saying, if somebody can meet me halfway and do the job, like, not just cutting cords and breathing and grounding and all of that, but to do all the practical things, because it's an eight, I say there's 8 factors to health, wealth, and happiness, and relationships, finances, all that, the 8 factors. And even though eating and exercise is kind of low on the list compared to everything else, it's still foundational.
Right. Because if that's out of whack, you're having to work a lot harder.
Yeah, you have to work a lot harder. Like, you can have a heavy smoker that eats crap all the time and they can live to 80 or 90, but the quality of their life towards the end is the pits. And what'll also happen is that they'll spend all of what they saved up a whole lifetime to accumulate, they'll spend it all on medical stuff towards the end.
Well, I don't know if you remember, probably not, because I may not even have mentioned it very much, but I did a whole lot of research on how much having the typical diseases that are chronic diseases that are preventable through diet and exercise, how much that actually costs a person over their lifetime, or over the time that you would typically get diagnosed to, let's say, age 65 when you would want to retire. So I was quantifying how valuable it is to just do those basic things to avoid that expense. And I was trying to disprove that it was that valuable, and it's a lot of money.
Yes.
It's a lot of money. So if that's something that you want me to talk about, I can very easily,
Yes.
because I have hard numbers, hard data from the CDC on it.
Yes, I mean, my husband's an example, right? Noel's an example. When he met, we dated back in high school and then didn't see each other for 43 years. Reconnected, he had gained like 80 pounds and was on 9 medications. That was costing $900 a month after insurance. Everybody says, "Oh, do you take insurance?"
Yeah, a little over 10 grand a year, almost 11 grand a year, just on medication.
Just on medication.
Right. And exercise. Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's more money than most people can save for retirement.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And now being with me, eating healthier, we get up and I do some yoga, and like some of them are really tough moves. And then we go walk for 3 to 4 miles and come back, and then I eat a healthy, really healthy meal. I have a green shake and some celery juice. I juice every morning. And I have to say that everybody else is getting the flu, but I'm not because I'm drinking celery juice, a whole stalk, a whole bunch.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say that the only time I ever get sick and the flu is when it's emotional stuff. And then I go into what you taught me.
Yeah. So, everybody has a really personal story. I know you've got this balance of doing this financial stuff, but you also have this weight loss and body conditioning and everything that's, so important. And you've kind of cracked the code where other people haven't. You have a lot of successes. So, do you have a personal story to tell about that, like how you got started down that particular path?
Actually, it was one of my personal training clients from back at when I actually still trained at a club. And he was, in my estimation at the time, pretty wealthy. He used to flip apartment complexes. And he kept telling me that don't go and be a marriage family therapist, go into finance. And it didn't sound interesting to me because the only time I ever really understood anything about finance was what I heard in the headlines, which was never good. But I wasn't so stubborn that I wouldn't listen. And so I thought, all right, if you think it's that important, I'll go, I'll listen. And so I started finding out that it was a lot more interesting than I realized that it was, and that I had a gift for solving people's problems financially in much the same way I solved their problems in their bodies when they came to me as a personal trainer. They'd say, I don't understand why when I eat this special diet that my doctor tells me to eat and I exercise with you, why I'm not losing weight. And I'd start going into, well, what about your hormones? What's going on emotionally at home? What's going on? I would treat them holistically, not just like a in the box type of science experiment. And so what I've done over the last 7 or so years while I've been building my financial business is build software to allow me to be able to do that on a grand scale and not have to meet people in the club, because I just couldn't get to enough people fast enough. And so back in 2013, I wanted to try to quantify how valuable it is to actually be healthy. Like, what does it actually mean to people? Because part of me was very frustrated at watching the American population get more and more unhealthy. And yet they have nothing but a vast amount of information out there that says, well, you need to do this, right? But psychologically, people think, yeah, but that's only going to matter in my 70s and 80s. What does that matter to me now? And so I thought, I don't know anybody that's hitting them in the pocketbook. I don't know anybody that's appealing to their greed. But I don't know any financial planners that know anything about health and fitness and how to do that. And I know no personal trainers know how to put numbers to the value of what they're actually doing. So I thought I would take my 2 areas of expertise and do some research and put together a presentation that I did on a very small scale in my local community, got some really good traction. And what I found is that it actually costs a lot more than we think it does to be unhealthy. Not just from a position that, well, my health insurance premiums are more or my life insurance premiums are more, but from the cost of the medication, from the lack of productivity. And I took just the typical chronic diseases that are preventable through a good diet and exercise program. Nothing crazy. You don't have to be a CrossFitter or run marathons, but just if you ate healthy 80-90% of the time and you exercise decently, you could avoid ADHD, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, and I even threw an osteoporosis and for good measure threw Alzheimer's down there, because some of the research that I've read is that it's type 3 diabetes. And while I know that's not a popular thing to say, but a lot of evidence demonstrates that it is preventable to a large degree. So I just took those numbers of when you would normally be diagnosed with any of those typical conditions and the cost of having that condition each year. And then I extrapolated it over different rates of return and said, if you didn't have that condition, but you took that amount of money and you saved it or invested it at different rates of return, here's how much money you would have to retire. I'm by age 65, because from the financial planning side, what I was also frustrated with is people would constantly say, I don't have enough money to be able to save for retirement. I can't save 500 a month, or I can't save 1,000. And now, because I'm getting older, I have to save even more, and I don't have the money. And so I was seeing too many people never be able to stop working when if they had just known. So I was hoping to try to help generations of people avoid that kind of fate that a lot of people that I was seeing trying to retire right now were having.
Well, I know that the number one factor, the number one cause of filing for bankruptcy is overrun medical costs.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 and 2 cause of death in the U.S. is cancer and heart disease, but number 3 is medical error. So it's better not to go there in the first place. So we're not just counting, right, loss of life. You're counting actually what's really hitting you in the pocketbook. And usually by the time you're 65 and retire, your path to how your health is going to run for the rest of the time that you're alive, you know, people will take the entire fortune. They could save up 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. It'll all disappear in the next 20 years.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it doesn't need to if they just knew a little bit about what they were doing. So that's the reason why I started on that path. And then I started dovetailing them together, and I found the little small things that people could do, like take the probiotic that I was talking about on that TV show, along with the meal plan that I use that one of my clients said that, who was it? It was Lance Armstrong's trainer's doctor loved my meal plan, and my whole approach to it with the probiotic ground up kind of mentality, because then your body can actually heal itself, right? Through a lot of the things that you're doing. And now getting that out on scale through what we're doing for as a company benefit program is where I'm putting these things together, and where my partner and I are really seeing that we can make a big difference.
You're listening to Scientific Healing with Dr. Anastasia Chopless. We'll return right after a short break. You can actually do simple physical manipulations on yourself to change your mental, emotional state, release blocks, and even release things like pain in your body. And of course, the backup to all of these techniques, the backup is to work out also the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, and then relieve the physical. I have a process that does that. We go through one step at a time and clean up all of, so whatever condition that you have, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical, whatever condition that you have, especially if it manifested in the physical, was usually years in the making. You didn't get it overnight, years in the making. One of the ways that I work is I find out when something got manifested in your body, like go back to that year, and then rewrite the story, uncreate the story, redo the story. So it's as if it never happened. It's as if you imagine your life as a tree, and here you are at birth, and each decision that you make will create a different branch, right? So you have all these branches of possibilities, and you're ending up somewhere along the branch. And by doing energy work, it's as if you did not make that decision, and instead you made a different decision, and you end up on another branch. So that's the way I view energy healing with regards to whatever your life is now. And the great thing is that we are infinite beings of light, powerful beings of light, and we can change our history, and we can rewrite things, and we can create whatever life we want. And I'm ready to have a conversation with you if that's what you'd like to have in your life. Either learn it for yourself or to have me help you with it. So I have my contact information is scientifichealer.com/contact or scientifichealer.com/appointment. So you can either write me or have a conversation with me, and I always answer whatever queries come through. And I do it personally because I'm very interested in hearing what you would like to hear. Welcome back. This is Dr. Anastasia Chopless on Scientific Healing Radio. Let's dive deeper into our conversation. So, what's that number that people would be missing out on if they went down the unhealthy and they start taking pills and stuff like that because their blood pressure is up and their cholesterol is up? And that's something that I tell, like, people come to me, Anastasia, I like you so much. I just don't know what I hire you for. And I said, are you on any prescription medications? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm taking 4. And I'm going, like, why do you not see that you don't need to be on those? So that's why you need to hire me. And people just think just because it's being like your symptoms are being managed, just because you're managing symptoms, it doesn't mean that it's healthy. Like, no person is ever lacking chemicals to be healthy. Right?
Exactly. And that's one of my clients came to me on election day. So it's been a little over a year now. And she came to me and she said, I am so scared. My blood work came back from my doctor, says I'm pre-diabetic. They're looking for autoimmune disorders. My liver enzymes are completely out of whack. I have high cholesterol and high blood pressure. And I'm scared and I don't want to take medication. What do I do? And she had just gotten started with me on my meal plan. I said, follow the meal plan, take the probiotic, get back to exercise as soon as you can, and then get your blood drawn again in a couple of months. So from election day of 2016 to about Valentine's Day of 2017, she no longer had any evidence of an autoimmune disorder. Her liver enzymes were getting back in line. They weren't perfect yet, but she was no longer pre-diabetic. Triglycerides were in line, cholesterol was in line, and she had no more high blood pressure. So she's probably my greatest success story in the shortest period of time, that your body will heal itself if you just take out the stuff that you're doing wrong to it and give it a chance. Fortunately, she didn't have anything like her husband and her daughter who have cancer that would have needed additional healing from you, right? That's where you become super valuable, I think. And
it does help.
Yeah. But the number, depending on the condition, but let's just say a 40-year-old that gets diagnosed with diabetes or, the beginnings of heart disease, something like that, you're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1.2 million by the time you could retire. That's retirement money. Like, that's all you would need to be able to retire. And what most people don't realize is that there's a donut hole in retirement. There's a medical care donut hole that's roughly $6,000 per person per year. So if you have a couple and you're both in just as bad a condition and you take medications, you're looking at $1,000 a month in medication costs that aren't going to be covered by Medicare in retirement. And most people don't have the funds to retire on anyway. And now they're going to have to pay for that out of pocket too. But what if you didn't have to because you didn't take any medication and you had all that extra money in addition to? This is why I think a lot of people, 3 out of 4 people, retire on less than $10,000 a year. And I don't know where they do that.
I can't even imagine.
Not in California. And so this is an epidemic that isn't changing because there isn't enough information out there. So it got me fired up to do this. But I felt like I can't make a big enough difference, just me by myself, one person at a time. I needed to get it out there in a really big way. So that's why we're going after to helping corporations, help these people on a large scale, get them into a health and fitness program that's taken care of and paid for by their employer, and save them some money tax-free without them having to worry about qualifying and things like that without changing their paycheck. So we're super excited about that and what we can do for the medical community as well.
Yes, well, I know that things like meditation and mindfulness, just a 5 to 10 minute practice every day in companies, is saving them $5,000 per employee per year.
Really?
Right? You have 1,000 employees, that's a $5 million per year savings.
Where are they getting that number from? How do we know?
So the number is higher productivity,
Mm-hmm.
Fewer absences, fewer people jumping ship because they hate their job. So, employee retention. So now if you throw in that component of showing people how to relieve stress by exercise and helping them stay healthier, this is like a twofer. You're going to have a lot, and people will probably stay employed longer because they're going to be healthier.
Yeah,
And
they can
so
work
all
longer
that
and it won't
training,
cost as much.
right? Because each person that comes on takes 3 to 5 months salary to train them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It takes that much. I know because I used to work in a company. Right. So all of that added in. I've done all that research too. I
Okay.
wanted to partner with somebody to do this, to go to companies and say, look, if you had a 5-minute thing every day where it'd come to their phone or it'd come to their email, and that's the first thing they did, and they listened to a little something and just, zoned out for 5 or 10 minutes every morning, and have them write like one sentence or two sentences about how they feel at the moment, then there's less conflict. There's less, so there's less employee conflict. People get to stay together longer, and they appreciate their jobs a lot more.
Mhm.
And Google, Aetna, all these places are really booming with it. Google even has a mindfulness training for corporations now.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yes.
good. That's good to know. I'm going to add that into my conversation with employers.
Oh, beautiful.
Productivity side of it is stuff that I can't quantify necessarily without that kind of research. And I really want to help people.
Exactly. So who is it that seeks you out individually?
Um, well, I get referrals from clients and things like that on the financial planning side. Okay. Who seeks me out in terms of corporations is other referrals from other employers. So I know a number of other entrepreneurs that have their own businesses. So does my partner. And so we just started off telling people that we do know, that already are fans of our work, what we're doing and why we're doing it. More importantly, the big difference that we're after making in the marketplace and in society. And they just say, hey, you got to talk to this company and that company. And it's pretty unique because this type of benefit program, while Section 125 plans have been around for decades, adding a wellness component was something that the last president included in it that's relatively new, and it just took people a few years to figure out how to implement that into the marketplace. But I've watched a couple of other organizations make mistakes, make some successes, and was able to benefit from not being first to market, but having my software and my company already in place at, when it was time to come to market, and also my expertise in the financial field. So that's been something that we're really excited about, and we're going to end up developing a monitor to help cardiologists and pulmonologists monitor their patients at a distance for cardiac rehab and things like that. So if you or any of your listeners know of a really great cardiologist, I'd love to speak with them, a pulmonologist. There's my request for information.
I do know a lot of doctors, but that's not on the list at the moment. Oh, but they'll show up. Maybe they're listening right now.
Exactly.
And they'll say, "Who is this Allison again?"
Exactly. Yeah, we just want some expert opinions to make sure that we have the best service and the best possible solution for people.
Yeah, so you've been growing this business for a while, and they say 65 to 80% of the businesses fail in the first 4 or 5 years. And so I know that passion drives us, but there's more to developing a know-how and a knack. So could you give somebody who wants to, let's say, start a practice, or a coach or a healer or even a chiropractor, what are some good tips to keep them on track?
Tips to keep them on track. First thing I would say is having a plan is probably the most important thing, because there are going to be emotional moments where you feel like you're not getting where you need to go, and knowing that you have a plan in place and you're not going to veer off the plan is super important. The other thing that's really important, I think, is having somebody that's outside of you, like another coach who's already where you want to be, to help guide you and also keep you emotionally straight is super important. I've never had a problem working hard. I've never had a problem disciplining my time. That's how I could build 2 businesses at once. But I could say that without certain people in my life, like my partner who believes in what I created to begin with and said, I know it's going to be amazing, let me help you. Without somebody like that you can lean on to say, I trust them more than I trust myself right now because I'm feeling down about it, or I'm feeling too excited and I want to make sure that I'm thinking clearly. I think having somebody outside of you to help keep you on track, thinking clearly, being emotionally neutral, and being able to stay the course is incredibly valuable. Because I think that I've been emotional about it, ups and downs. I've had all kinds of setbacks, and I probably would have shortened my time frame if I had had somebody that I could count on from the get-go. So I would say I'm just a product of just pure grit at this point, gutting it out and not being willing to let go of the idea. And every once in a while when I got down, somebody came along and, made me believe in myself again. But if I'd had him along with me to begin with, it would have gone a lot faster.
Yeah,
So,
a good coach is worth everything. I have now a couple of really fabulous coaches. I have 2. And I have to say that having them, like, when I'm going, well, I don't know why this isn't working, I'm doing this and this and this, and then because they have other eyes, they can say, yeah, but you didn't do that, and now it's time to go in that direction.
yeah, exactly. Mine happens to have done a lot in such a short period of time, but he's straight between the eyes and doesn't pull any punches, and makes no apologies about it. And I think that's a super important thing to have as well.
Yeah. So I know you've got a couple of websites out there. I went through and I looked through them, and how can people find you?
They can find me at bodcompany.com. You can go to my personal branding website, alliferguson.me at me.
Mm-hmm. .me.
Sorry, alliferguson.me. I can speak,
Yes.
really.
Yeah, it's Alli with 2 L's, ALLIFERGUSON, right? .me.
.me, that's me. You can find the Bod Company at bodcompany.com. Go there. You can find me at elitefinancialservicesgroup.com. That was my financial company. So there's a couple of different ways to find me. You can find me on Facebook as Alli Ferguson, Instagram, Alli Fergie1. And I'm leaning away from Facebook as much and more toward Instagram, because there's no limit to the people that you can communicate with. So like there is on Facebook, but those are all great ways to reach me and send me messages so that I can respond back. I'd love to talk.
Yes. And that's awesome. So I was so excited and so pleased that we were able to make this work and get together and talk about this stuff, because these are some of the things that are really uncomfortable for people to talk about. Like, oh, what happens when I get sick? And it's kind of a natural progression that you get sick. But as you were talking about the age of 65, I just turned 65 and I'm on Medicare, and I'm going like, why am I on it? I never go to the doctor. I don't take any medications.
We've accepted as a society that aging and, getting unhealthier as we get older is just a part of life, and it's not.
No, in fact, we need to change, and I'm glad you're there with me, changing the vision of what it means to get older. It doesn't mean to get sicker. It just means to get wiser and smarter and not lose your mind, right?
That's true. And having just had a birthday, I'm like, I don't see how that number applies to me whatsoever.
Well, how do you think I feel?
And you look fantastic. You don't look your age at all, but I've always said that about you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for taking some time out of your really busy schedule.
Problem.
And right, and so again, everybody can find you on mostly on Instagram, but also Facebook by looking up Allison Ferguson. And
Alli Ferguson. I
yeah,
changed
Alli
it.
Ferguson,
Alli.
right? Yeah, all they have to do is find your beautiful face, and I will put everything in the show notes so people can just click through and find you.
Awesome. Send me the link so I can push it out too and promote you as well.
Oh,
I love
absolutely.
your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you for listening to Scientific Healing. Let's you and I connect. Go to scientifichealer.com/energize me, which is for those of you that are ready to get to a new place in your life, whether it's to help others or get better yourself. And connect with me at scientifichealer.com/appointment to speak with me about any of this and get the help that you need right away. If you enjoyed this program, please give it a 5-star or a thumbs up rating, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. This is Dr. Anastasia Chopoulos. Until next time.